If you're a wrestling fan like myself, you probably would have heard at the start of the week that Scott Hall sadly passed away due to complications from hip surgery. And I just thought I'd want to do a video just to do a tribute to him as a wrestler, how amazing he actually was. So I thought I'd want to just showcase how amazing he was in the ring. Like he said on the Resurrection of the Snake, he never had any problems or issues when he was in the ring. So that's how I'd like to remember him, as a amazing wrestler in the ring. So I thought I'd do a tribute for him now. Scott Hall was born on October 20th, 1958 and started out in wrestling in 1984, wrestling for the NWA, AWA and WCW. Around this time as well, he had tryouts for the WWF in 1987 and 1990. He wasn't successful at the time. His big break came in 1992 as the character Razor Ramon. Weeks before his TV debut, many vignettes were broadcast on TV such as WWF Superstars and Wrestling Challenge. Ramon was a character of Cuban descent, a bully living in Miami, getting what he wanted by intimidating and bullying people to get what he wanted. Yeah, apparently when Scott Hall pitched the idea of Razor Ramon to Vince McMahon thought it was a genius because he was just basically copying off Scarface, but apparently Vince had never seen Scarface and he thought it was genius, the character he was doing. I always think that's hilarious how he thought the whole character up, and Vincent, it's just because Vince had never actually seen Scarface. I thought that was really funny. But he did make the character his own, and couldn't imagine anyone else playing Razor Ramon. Well, someone tried to and they failed miserably. Ramon had his debut on WWF Superstars, shown on the 8th of August 1992. It was against Paul Van Dale in a squash match, but it showed his potential as an up-and-coming superstar and his finisher, the Razor's Edge. The person who he was wrestling in his debut is actually Carmella's dad, who's in the WWE now. When I found out, I thought that was really cool. The world saw his heel-like persona, threatening the ring boy if anything happened to his gold, something would happen to him, and throwing his toothpick at the opponent. He had a series of squash match victories until his first angle in September, when he interfered in Ric Flair and Macho Man's match, costing Randy Savage the WWF title. This moved on to Survivor Series. Originally a feud was planned with Macho Man and the Ultimate Warrior, however that changed when the Ultimate Warrior was fired and Macho Man chose Mr. Perfect, turning him babyface for the first time in his WWF career. The match is a good one to watch, and it would lead to a disqualification with Mr. Perfect and Macho Man picking up the win. His next big angle was supposed to be a squash match on Raw between a jobber called the Kid, which Razor Ramon lost to on that night, and he became the 1-2-3 Kid, as we know as Sean Waltman, who would go on to become X-Pac. This started a storyline with Razor Ramon and Ted DiBiase, eventually turning Razor Ramon babyface when he would mentor the 1-2-3 Kid. He was like one of them wrestlers, whether he was babyface or heel, he was the bad guy. He didn't need to change his character at all. He just used to slightly tweak it when he was babyface, but he was still the bad guy, and he was just amazing. Ramon won his first title in WWF in October 1993. After a battle royal the week before, Razor Ramon and Rick Martel were the last two people in the ring, and the week later on Raw, the match was decided for the vacant title. Yet when you watched it and win the IC title, the crowd pop is amazing. Like, just shows how much of an amazing wrestler he was and how over he was with the fans. Like how amazing he was and how much the fans were into him. You don't see pops like that anymore. Not in modern day wrestling. Like, the whole arena was with him, and it was so good to see. So Shawn Michaels returned to claim he was still the Intercontinental Champion and had his own title next to Razor Ramon's. This would be settled at WrestleMania 10 with a ladder match, which in my opinion is one of the greatest WrestleMania matches ever, and was the first ever WWF match to get a Dave Meltzer 5-star rating. In his time in WWF, Razor Ramon was a 4-time Intercontinental Champion, and I consider him one of the greatest Intercontinental Champions ever. Towards the end of Scott Hall's WWF run, he was involved in one of the most controversial incidents in the wrestling business, when he was involved in the curtain call. At this point, Kevin Nash and Scott Hall had agreed contracts with WCW and were on their way out, so decided to break kayfabe in Madison Square Garden of all places, when all 4 members of the Clique would embrace each other, with Diesel and Triple H being heels and Razor and Shawn Michaels being babyfaces. This would not be allowed and angered a lot of traditionalist wrestlers in the back. The curtain call as well, it sort of does that butterfly effect, because Triple H was going to win the King of the Ring and get a big push, but he got punished for the curtain call because he couldn't really punish Shawn Michaels because he was the champion and Nash and Hall were leaving anyway, so it was all down to Triple H. And Stone Cold got the King of the Ring push that year. I mean, Stone Cold probably would have got a push anyway, but it's mad to think if Triple H had got that instead, what would have happened. Scott Hall would turn up on Nitro in May 1996, coming through the crowd, claiming to be an outsider, with Nash following in June, with the gimmick of him being from the company up north, and in which they were looking to infiltrate WCW with a 3rd member. This was teased for weeks until it is revealed at the end of Bash at the Beach that the 3rd man was Hulk Hogan. The NWO would go on to be the most popular wrestling stable ever, and helped Nitro beat Raw in the Monday Night Wars for 83 consecutive weeks. And that would not have happened without Scott Hall and his contribution to the NWO. He was such an integral part of the Monday Night Wars and the Attitude Era. I mean, even if you were a WCW or WWF fan at the time, everyone agrees that wrestling got made better because of that. And if there was no NWO, there would have been no D-Generation X. WWF would have just remained stagnant with their product. They would have had no need to create the Attitude Era where it was Stone Cold and that kind of edgy product. They would have, I think they would have stayed the way they were. And it was all down to his contribution in the NWO, starting that fire in the Monday Night Wars, making Vince McMahon change the way the WWF was at the time, Monday Night Raw, and get DX and Stone Cold and The Rock to compete against WCW every week for the ratings, and it changed the face of wrestling for the better, I think. He was an amazing wrestler, and his skills and charisma and promo skills were second to none. I have so many amazing memories watching him as Razor Ramon, and some amazing memories from the Attitude Era. All of these memories would not have been possible without the bad guy and his amazing contribution to the wrestling business. I always wondered what it would be like if, in 1995, if they'd have put the WWF Heavyweight title on Razor instead of Diesel, whether that would have changed it, because it says in a lot of documentaries that Diesel wasn't a successful champion, he didn't really draw any money. But if Ramon had been the champion, maybe he would have been more successful at drawing money. He definitely deserved a title push. Okay, so that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed this video and the tribute to Scott Hall. And I'll just leave you with the words of Scott Hall. Hard work pays off. Dreams come true. Bad times don't last. But bad guys do. Chico.